Okay, hey everyone, Lara here, got another Task 2 live stream. So as we do every Thursday, I'll show you a Task 2 question, get you to respond to various tasks based on that question, and then give you feedback. But if you are new to Complete Test Success, you may not be aware of the Complete Task 2 guide, which I have already made and is there waiting for you to complete. So if you're not already comfortable with what to do in task 2, how to respond to the various question types, how to structure your answer, what to include in your answer, all of that stuff, make sure to complete that. And then this live stream is based on your attempt to respond to a task 2 question. So giving you feedback on that. That's pretty much what we're here to do. If you're present at the moment, can I just get you to say hello or click like or something just to make sure that this is working? And okay, perfect. Maimuna, hello to you. Good, thanks for that. So we know we're ready and we can get started. Hey Jashan, hello to you. Welcome back again. All right. So our first task is to write the paraphrase. And that's going to be the first sentence, no matter what question type you get in task 2. You're going to write the paraphrase as your first step. So that's what I want you to do. So in the paraphrase, you're going to rewrite the question in your own words. And let me just pull up the question for you here. Many parents work long hours in stressful jobs so that they can provide a good standard of living for their children. So that's what you need to paraphrase, just that question statement. You need to write that in your own words. Oh, we have another load of people in here. Great. Hello to you, sir. Welcome to the lesson. Emela, hello to you. And Julie, good to see you here. Hey, Binny. And that, I don't know what that is. I think that's some kind of spam. Hey, Kwesi. Good to see you here. And Prince, good to see you here too. Hey, Ted, as always, a pleasure. Hey, Maha. Manesh, hello to you. And Mary, welcome to the lesson. Okay. So if anyone has any questions for me, feel free to ask. But right now, what we're doing is writing the paraphrase based on the question here on your screen. Hey, Afaya, good to see you here. And Amro, hello to you. We have plenty of new faces here tonight. That's great. And plenty of familiar faces. Hey, Kring. Good to see you here. Haven't heard from you in a while. Harman, hello. Welcome to the lesson. I see you there. Perfect. What? Oh, sorry, I'm after putting up the wrong instruction. I didn't even notice that. I didn't read it properly. It's not write main potential main ideas. That's not what I want at all. Excuse me. I'm after putting up the wrong instruction. That's what I want. Write the paraphrase. Apologies if that confused any of you. I just clicked on it quickly without reading. So I want you to write the paraphrase. Excuse me. Hey, Samika. Kamika, Samika. I can't remember which way it is though. Welcome to the lesson anyway. Haven't talked to you in a while. Hi, Arahose. Hey, Stella. Good to see you here. And Noarula. Sure I'm saying that wrong. I'm doing very well, though. Thanks for asking. Vicious, I see you with ideas here. I think that's my fault because I put the wrong instruction on the screen. But let's look at paraphrases first. Hey, Afaya. We have two Afayas here tonight, I believe. We do. Okay, lots of fathers and mothers working. So if you say someone's working a long time, that would more imply like the number of years they've been working in a place. So, you know, I've been working in my job for a long time. That's not necessarily the number of hours each day. Whereas long hours means like a standard day is 8 hours. So long hours is working more than that. Whereas working for a long time would mean how many years you've been working for a company. In it would have to be high pressure jobs in order to give a high quality of living to their kids. So some language errors there, Amro, but the general meaning is there. So overall, that's successful. But some vocab mistakes, you know, it does indicate that you likely need to improve your vocabulary. Unless, of course, you were trying really hard not to use any of the words from the question and you pushed yourself beyond your limit. So it could be that as well. What time is it there? I am at 8 p.m., just after 8 p.m. here at the moment. Ranjana, a large number of parents tend to engage in stressful jobs for long hours in order to bring a high level of living standard. So bring the high level of living standard to their children. This is good. I would remove the tend to part because it's not that they tend to do it, it's that they do it. So I would change that to a large number of parents engage in stressful jobs. So remove the tend to, but that's a good job. Hey Neil, good to see you here. Hey Rupinder. Hey Chaplin. Neil, many parents work extended hours in stressful jobs in order to provide a better standard of living for their children. Very nice. Okay, let me just grab that and I'll discuss that a bit further. Okay, so this is Neil's paraphrase here. And okay, so what you can see is, and Neil won the essay correction competition yesterday. And what I said to Neil was, you need to stop taking so many risks with your vocabulary because Neil has got a really high level of English, but the risks that Neil took in their essay that I looked at yesterday really dragged down their score. So what you'll see here, many parents work in stressful jobs, provide standard of living for their children. So is it possible to do a better job to write a better paraphrase than this? Well, yes. I mean, you could You could use fewer words from the question statement. That would make it better. But what you're aiming for is not the best possible paraphrase that could exist. You're aiming for the best possible paraphrase that you can write. So what Neil has done here is, instead of taking risks, copied a few of the words from the question just to make sure that it's at least accurate and appropriate and communicates the main idea. So could Neil have done better? It's possibly not, but what Neil has done is not taken any risks. So that's a good approach. So just because there is theoretically a better paraphrase that could be written, you're not aiming for the one you can't do. You're aiming for the best that you can do. So it's obviously a lesson well learned here from Neil, to reduce the number of risks. So yeah, good job there, Neil. Good, Amro, good to hear. Some mothers and fathers have stressful jobs for longer hours. No, stressful jobs for longer. No, so they work longer hours and the jobs are stressful. So those are two things. But you can't say the jobs for longer hours. Those the syntax there doesn't work, because it enables them to provide a good life. You need the article for their offspring, and you just need no S for offspring and a full stop. Okay, Kring. Several means a few, so that's not the same as many. So many parents engage in heaps is very informal, in stressful jobs in order to maintain living standards for their children. And it's not just living standards, you could say high living standards for their children. Okay. Manpreet, to provide, you need the article, a better lifestyle for their children. Hectic and stressful jobs are done by a lot of parents. You haven't talked about the long hours. So the question says they work long hours, and you need to include that in your paraphrase. So you have to include whatever information was in the question needs to be in your paraphrase. Okay, Big B. Some parents spend long hours working stressful jobs to give a better standard of living, and then give to. So the collocation is give something to. So give a better standard of living to their children. Okay, good. Hey, Shine, I'm good. Good to see you here. Okay, so next, I will look at the other students' paraphrases, but just to move the lesson forward a bit, what I want you to do is tell me how many main ideas do we need, and that will be based on this. So does this development have more advantages or more disadvantages? So how many main ideas do we need? Okay, while you're answering that, I'll have a look at some more of the paraphrases. Okay, or Jose, many parents spend a lot of time doing stressful jobs in order to earn a better living for their children. Okay, so just like we had with Manpreet, you haven't included the part. Oh, you said a lot of their time doing stressful jobs. No, that's not the same as doing long hours. No, that's not clear enough. So that's not as obvious there. Okay, at BC, quite a number of parents know. You could say a lot or many, but quite a number, that's too vague. Work hard and for long hours to improve the living conditions of their offspring. No S in offspring, no plural. Offspring is already plural. But yeah, besides those, that's a good paraphrase. Stella, a lot of parents work extensive long period of hours. No, you're stretching yourself too much. These words don't go together. So work long hours would be better. So like I was saying with Neil earlier on, obviously the more you can paraphrase, the better, but it should still be clear and accurate. So don't push yourself too far, as you've done. Putting them under pressure. To be under pressure and to be stressed aren't the same. So if you're under pressure, that can cause stress, but they're not the same thing. As they want to do the best for their children. So again, it doesn't really communicate exactly the idea from the question statement. To provide more comfortable lifestyles for their offspring. Yep, so that works as the second half. Maha, stressful jobs for long hours have been accepted by many. So in the question, it's for long hours. Oh, no, so he works for long hours, but when you're using long hours to describe the job, it would have to be with. So stressful jobs with long hours have been accepted by many parents to provide a better standard of living for their children. Yep, so just that preposition mistake. Sir, are you correct? Yep. Mary's inviting her friend. Great. Good to see. Rupinder, a very large number of parents work long hours in hectic jobs so they can provide their children with a better living standard. So you're missing two words, provide and with. Okay, so I asked how many main ideas do you need? Ranjana says 3, that's correct. Hey, Blessing, good to see you. Manpreet, 3, yes, 3. Manpreet, 2 in favor and 1 opposite? No, not necessarily. Neil, 3 main ideas required. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So you can say, so the direct question, right? Does this development have more advantages or more disadvantages? So the answer is going to be more advantages, or you can answer more disadvantages. Those are your 2 options. You can say there's more you've been asked, are there more advantages, disadvantages? So you only have those options. If you are going to say there are more advantages, you'll need to include 2 advantages and 1 disadvantage in your answer. However, if you decide to say that there are more disadvantages, then you include 2 disadvantages and 1 advantage in your answer. So that's how we're going to respond to this question type. And from there, tell me what main ideas can we use. Vicious, can you post yours again? Because it'll take me a while to find it. Just I'm making my way down through the comments. I'll get lost. So Vicious, if you could post yours again for me, please. And the rest of you, what main ideas? So what potential advantages, what potential disadvantages can we use? And remember, when you're analyzing your main ideas, they need to meet 2 criteria. They need to be relevant and they need to be specific. They need to be relevant to the question and they need to be specific ideas, not vague ideas. Okay. Prince, many parents work extra hours in stressful jobs in order to provide better quality of lifestyle for their children. Better quality, to provide a better quality lifestyle. So you need an article, a better quality, remove the preposition of, a better quality lifestyle. And it had a variety of impacts on family well-being, including providing greater income, but also negatively affecting time available for family members. Are these main ideas? A variety of impacts on family well-being. That's too vague. Including providing greater income. No. That's too vague as well. So, like, what's the benefit of having a greater income? No, that's just saying more money because they work longer hours in stressful jobs that can provide a better standard of living. No, that's too vague. Negatively affect time available for family members. Yeah, good. The disadvantage is appropriate, but your 2 advantages are too vague. Rupinder, a large number. Okay, so we looked at your paraphrase already, didn't we? Oh, so you've just fixed it based on my feedback. Okay. Binny, lots of parents work long waited period though jobs. That's quite a serious vocab, or those are quite serious vocab mistakes, Binny, because that doesn't actually mean anything. And like there are different severities of vocab mistakes. So like you can make vocab mistakes and still get a good score, but when the vocab mistake is so severe that I can't even guess what you're trying to say, that's problematic. So you're definitely going to have to work on your vocabulary, Binny. For more earnings to secure their children, standard life, no. So that they're just the vocab is too far off and it's not communicating the ideas that we need to communicate. So unfortunately, no, that doesn't work. Shine, many parents work in stressful jobs because they want to give a better future and good standard of living to their children. Yep, but what you've forgotten here is the long hours. So when you're paraphrasing the question, all the information that was in the question should be there. So you're not allowed, you can't pick and choose what you want to include. You have to take every piece of information and include that in your paraphrase. So that's a very important thing to do. Amro, a lot of parents working long hours in their jobs with less stress themselves in order to have high standard. That's better than the first one. Many parents work hard for a better life for their children's future. So it's not about working hard, it's about the conditions that they work in, long hours and stressful jobs. So it's not just working hard. You know, somebody who doesn't work long hours and doesn't work in a stressful job can still work hard. So they're not synonymous. So that doesn't work. Many parents work full-time in hard jobs in order to give a high standard of living. So you give something to. So give a high standard of living to their children. So the preposition for must be replaced with to based on the word give. But also a full-time job isn't the same. So a full-time job is working 8 hours a day, but working long hours implies working more than the standard 8. So that doesn't apply. Sorry, not that doesn't apply. That's wrong. It's not the same thing. Okay, Emila. A lot of parents work for additional hours in professions which demand a lot of attention in order to provide a more comfortable lifestyle for their progeny. It's a very old-fashioned word, progeny. And it's not that it demands a lot of attention, it's that it's stressful. So those aren't the same thing. And the way you've put in order to provide, that is now a description of why the job demands a lot of attention. So that's a coherence and cohesion problem as well. So you'd have to use so or because to transition into the fact that it's the reason for all of that, not just the reason for the attention. Hey, Sharon Preet, you can catch up. We're just on generating main ideas, so you're not too far behind at all. Hey, Sharon. Chrissy, a lot of parents work more hours in jobs that are stressful in order to provide a better life for their children. Good. Work more hours. No, work more than the standard hours, or work more than normal hours. So the more hours isn't completely right. Many parents are working longer in stressful professions in order to provide, not providing, a high standard of living for their children. Okay, I'm not going to look at any more paraphrases. We're 24 minutes into the lesson. We need to start pushing forward. I don't have a great memory as well. So just send one. If each student just sends one round, because if you send me 2 paraphrases, if everyone sends me 2 paraphrases, we'll never get anything else done. So if you sent me a paraphrase and I give you your feedback, you know your mistakes and you'll know how to improve. So there's no need to send me a second one. And the same with your ideas. But I don't have a great memory. So if you send me 2, I probably won't notice. that you sent me to. So please, everyone, just send me one. Just send me one each, and then we'll get further through the essay, and you'll learn more by letting me use the time to move forward than go over the same points again. Okay. Adabisi. Disadvantages. Lack of quality family time, good, and stress might affect their health, good. Perfect. So those are two ideas that are both relevant and specific. And then, of course, you need to follow that up with an advantage. So you need 3 ideas. Neil, work life is imbalanced. That's too vague. What are the implications of having an imbalanced work life? So what's the problem? What are you sure that's, you go into more detail. Think you'll probably have a few reasons why that's a bad thing, but at the moment that's a vague idea. Family bondage suffers. Family bonds, bonds, suffers. That's correct. And 3, financial support. That's too vague as well. So first and last ideas are too vague at the moment, Neil. Sathija, main disadvantages. Parents' stress cause to their children's mental health. So, okay, can affect the kids' mental health. Working more hours causes to reduce mother and baby communication. To reduce, reduce, reduce mother and child. We'll say child because, a baby's only going to be a baby for a year or 2 or whatever it is, 2 years. So change that to child. Those ideas are appropriate, but obviously we need 2 from one side and 1 from the other. So you're still missing one idea. Maha, many parents. Okay, so I said earlier I'm not going to look at any more paraphrases just to move forward. Prince, I'm pretty sure I gave you feedback already. Binny, you're welcome. No problem, Jania. Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to look at any more paraphrases because I just want to push forward. And even if I haven't looked at your paraphrase, you still have a good idea of what needs to be done. So you'll know based on the other students' mistakes as well what you need to avoid. Okay, Sharmpreet, it has more disadvantages than advantages, as parents are not only able to give focus to their children, are not only unable to give focus to their children. I think attention would be a better word, to give attention to their children. But also getting more burden in their life. That's too vague. What burden? What burden are you talking about? However, children have a good future in terms of their education. Yep. So make that easy. Make that more direct. Say, however, children have a better education. Immersion English by Eric. Hello. Hello, Eric. Welcome to the lesson. Okay, Stella, I believe this has more disadvantages because of tiredness. Most of the parents, so you don't explain your ideas yet. Or to earn extra money. Okay, so this is what you've written is a body paragraph. What I want at the moment is just 3 main ideas. However, Sharmpreet's does fit the structure quite well. So I'm going to take Sharmpreet's and I'm just going to replace the ideas that Sharmpreet wrote, the vague ones that Sharmpreet wrote. Okay. Okay, so it has, so let's make that clear. This situation has more disadvantages than advantages, as parents are not only unable. That's a bit confusing. Not only unable. We just say not able is clear. That's why I got confused the first time. Parents are not able to give enough attention to their children, or then we need another disadvantage. However, children have a good education. Okay, so we just need one more disadvantage here. And I'm pretty sure we had other relevant disadvantages, but I'll stay going through the other comments here. We'll find another one. Ranjana, advantage, have more money to cater for the needs of the children. Yes. I think we could go more specific though, because the child will have lots of needs. So saying specifically education, using the money for their education or something like that would be more specific. Less attention paid to children, spoil them. That's two ideas. This makes children stubborn. Yep, good. You spelled stubborn incorrectly, but yep, that works. Disadvantage, it affects their health as well as children's health, and it affects the family bond. So their health and their children's health, I would say that's two different ideas. So go with one or the other. Okay. So we're just, sorry, Marwa, we're just going to look at main ideas. So we've already looked at paraphrases. We're just going to push forward here. In my opinion, remove the word that. Many parents work long hours and stressful jobs to fulfill their wishes, to give everything that they're not able to get during their normal job. But one disadvantage is parents always in tension and not giving much time to their children. Parents are always stressed. So the question says they work in stressful jobs, so that's already given. So what are the implications of being stressed? Why does that matter? Why do we not want to be stressed? Why do you think it's not okay just to be stressed all the time? So it'd have to be the implications of that we're looking for. When providing a good standard of living for their children by working long hours in stressful jobs, children can be isolated without the parents' love and affection. So the children are isolated. So I think that would be so that's fine as an idea, but I'm not going to add it to the paraphrase to the paragraph on the screen, because it's pretty much the same thing as they're not getting enough attention. So those wouldn't be different enough to include as different ideas. But the way you've written it is fine. Provide the family's needs. So what needs, Kwesi? What needs are you referring to? At the moment, that's too vague. Cheeky. Most of the parents work more than the required hours in stressful jobs because they can provide a good. Okay, so that's a paraphrase again. Yeah, that looks fine, but we're just looking for the ideas now at the moment, Cheeky. Disadvantages: less time with their family, loss of interest in their jobs. Yeah, good. Okay, so this situation has more disadvantages than advantages, as parents are not able to give enough attention to their children and lose interest in their jobs. However, there is the advantage that the children receive a good education. All right. So that looks good. So that's our first paragraph, the introduction written. So we've paraphrased the question and we've outlined our answer with the number of main ideas that we need. So the next thing I want you to consider is how are we going to develop that first main idea? So this situation is more disadvantages than advantages, as parents are not able to give enough attention to their children. Okay, so there's the first main idea. And let me just line this up so we can see everything at the same time. All right, so the next task for you then is to tell me how can we develop that main idea. Okay, so you might have had different ideas. I don't want you to focus on how we develop other ideas, not the other ideas you had, not the other ideas on the screen, only the highlighted idea. So parents are not able to give enough attention to their children. How can we develop this? So how can you explain that, or what examples would you give about that? Okay, so that's your next task. How can we develop that idea? Sir, that was main idea. Okay. Many parents are working for long hours in stressful jobs because it has more advantages, such as providing better education for their children, good and better nutritional food, and better clothing. Okay, so that's 3 advantages. You just need 2. And then also you need 1 disadvantage. So you've included 3 and 0, but you needed to include 2 and 1. All your ideas are relevant, all your ideas are specific, but it's the number of ideas that you've selected that's not appropriate. Okay, at a BC advantage, provision for a better education. Yes, good. Drawback, more arguments each family members. So you want to say, Big B, the families argue more, and there is a health risk. Benefit, good for promotion opportunities. You're going to have to keep it in the context of the family, because it's the same thing. Then they get more promotion means that they can provide better for their children. So that's irrelevant. That the benefits irrelevant because it's not within the context of the family. You're going to talk about how working long hours helps you get a promotion, and then you're going to have to talk about how it's not in the context of providing a better standard of living. So no. Hi, Sim. Kring, disadvantages can be stressful to mental health. So we would just say bad for mental health. Good. Reduces family affection. Good. Advantages, generates more income and living standards of family. No, because that came from the question. That's not your idea. That was presented in the question. So you can't use that as your idea. You need a new separate idea to what the question presented us with. Delight. Most parents extended their working hours in stressful. Okay, so we're finished with the paraphrase, Delight. So at the moment, we're looking for how can we develop the idea highlighted in yellow on the screen. Rupinder, mental stress. No, because it said that the job is stressful, so that's like that's already implied by the question. So what's the problem with stress? So it could be poor mental health, but not. You can't say it's the stress. You have to say what's the knock-on problem of the stress. Less time with family, yes. Better future, too vague. Why is it a better future, or what about the future is better? Vicious. Do we have to write the ideas in our thesis line, in the outline statement? Can we just write this has more benefits than it has drawbacks? Would this approach reduce our score in task achievement? No, it wouldn't reduce your score in task achievement as long as you have all those ideas in the main body paragraphs. You would still get the same task achievement score. What it would affect is your coherence and your cohesion score. Because for coherence and cohesion, what you're trying to do is tie all the words together, tie all the sentences together, tie all the paragraphs together. So make them connect with one another as logically as possible. And in academic writing, this is traditionally what we would put in an outline statement. Also, it's better for your language, like for your vocab and your grammar score, to write an outline statement the way we've written, because if you just write this has more benefits than it does drawbacks, then it looks like something that you learned for the IELTS test, a sentence that you learned, and even if it's like grammatically correct, it won't be counted as you having written a grammatically correct sentence, because it's very obvious that you learned that before the IELTS test. Compared to the outline statement we've written here, it's unique, it's relating to the question, it shows understanding of the question. So no, I mean, you can, but I wouldn't advise it. And like you're asking about task achievement or your task response, it wouldn't have it wouldn't have a problem. It wouldn't reduce your task achievement score or your task response score. Neil, I think this improvement, we wouldn't call it an improvement. So an improvement is when something gets better. So we just call it a situation or a phenomenon, something like that. So I think this situation has more disadvantages than advantages, because the two main demerits are parents' work life gets imbalanced and they get less quality time to share with their family members. The first one, demerits are parents. So you have to talk. So you have to say specifically the problem. Parents have a poor work-life balance, or that's the phrase, a poor work-life balance. Second idea is fine. Well, the only advantage is to provide financial support for the children. But it's not just financial support, it's a good standard of living. So better go with something more specific. So like earlier on we had about the education. That's the idea we put in the question here. Okay, Amro, advantages will provide good education for kids. Good. Make them confident. Good. I am of the opinion, so you're making punctuation mistakes with capital letters. I am of the opinion that this has more disadvantages because children get involved in unnecessary activities. That's very vague. And they also have study problems. Okay. But the advantages are children get good facilities. Too vague. So what unnecessary activities are they getting involved in? What good facilities do they have? So you need to be more specific than that, Roshan. Excuse me, sir. I couldn't attend your class until the end. Thank you. God bless. You're very welcome, Ette. And just watch the recording. The lesson will be finished in about quarter of an hour, and you'll have the recording there. Delight. It affects the health of the children and the family at large. Okay, so this idea is relevant, but this is something I'll often say is, if you put the word "and" in an idea, then it's probably two ideas. So if you want to say it affects the health of the children, that's fine. Or it affects the health of the family at large, that's fine. But if you want to say children and family at large, are you repeating? Are children included in family at large? So are you repeating that part of your idea? If it's two ideas, then that's a problem. If it's one idea, then it looks like you're repeating yourself. So that's something to look out for when you're generating main ideas. If you think you have one main idea and the word "and" is in your one main idea, it's very likely you're either repeating yourself or it's two main ideas. So just be careful with that. Delight. Amro, provide them a good education, make them feel confident. So it's confident. You need the adjective. Parents will be exhausted. Good. Marwa, there are many disadvantages of spending more time in work. Firstly, the children need their parents more than money in daily basis, like need to feel they are taken care of. So you're not talking about a disadvantage. You're talking about what children need. So you're implying a disadvantage, but you're not saying the disadvantage. So the disadvantage of working too much is they don't have enough time for their children. Now you're describing why children need time, but that's not direct enough. So you are talking about a main idea which is relevant, but you're not saying the main idea which is relevant. So this isn't appropriate what you've written here. Okay, Amila, it has more advantages than disadvantage. Advantage to generate better income, to guarantee a better future in terms of their children's education and comfort. Disadvantages, sorry, let me read that again. To generate better income, to guarantee a better future in terms of their children's education and comfort. Okay, so comfort is too vague, and I would just go with, instead of all of that, just say it will guarantee a better education and leave it at that. Don't use so many words to say a better education. Disadvantages, children may be neglected emotionally and deprived from the love and attention. So again, that's 2. Okay, good. Is neglected emotionally the same thing as being deprived from love and attention? I think that's the same idea twice. They're pretty much the same. If they're not the exact same, they're pretty much the same. And what you have to remember is after this, you have to develop those ideas in your paragraph. So if you explain one, you're like, okay, that's great. And then you go to explain the second one, and it turns out you're saying that you're repeating the same ideas again in the other explanation. And that's not appropriate. You don't want to have to repeat yourself. So my fear here is that those two ideas are too similar to use as separate ideas. Okay, again, I'm not going to look at any more main ideas. I think we've looked at all the main ideas already. Now we're just looking at the same ideas again. So you should be aware if your ideas are relevant or not based on my feedback to the other students. So if I haven't already given you feedback on your main ideas, just pay attention to which other student had the same main idea to you and what feedback I gave to them. The reason I'm saying that is we only have 12 minutes left, and I do want to look at the development of this one idea that we have highlighted here. So I'm just going to skip down to that. Hi, Wa. Thank you, Lynn. Dahlia. Hello, Mr. Ryan. Ideas. Okay. So like I said, Dahlia, let me just quickly look actually. Education, standard. Yeah, okay. So we had all those ideas already, so you're not being left out. Mental health. Yep. Through explanation to the idea. Sorry, Amro, I'm not following you there. In my opinion, your last idea is too vague, or how I say, parents can secure a life is too vague. I don't know what you mean. Okay, the other ideas are fine. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for now. So this is development of the main idea on the screen. Parents are not able to give enough attention to their children. Why not? So you need to explain that. Firstly, parents are not able to give enough attention to their children because they always have to work for long periods of time. No, that was in the question already. So you can't use the information in the question as your explanation. You need to explain it from another angle. So no, you can't use the information in the question as your development. For instance, the survey of Canada. So a survey from Canada illustrated that many of the children get involved in unnecessary activities like drug addiction isn't an activity. So involved in unnecessary activities like taking drugs. And unnecessary is like something that you don't have to do, right? Whereas, and I saw you use the word unnecessary earlier on as well. So unnecessary doesn't mean something bad. Something unnecessary means something that isn't needed. So normally if something's unnecessary, you can do it or you can't do it. It generally doesn't matter. So you're using that word incorrectly because they do not have parents around them to suggest what is right and wrong. No. So you have to explain why they don't have enough time for their children, why they're not able to give enough attention to their children. So you haven't actually done that. Amro, okay, parents are not able to give enough attention to their children. Kids always need the attention and someone to take care of them, contact with them, and listen more than spend money on them. So I don't need you to explain why children need attention. I need you to explain why parents are not able to give enough attention to their children. So no, you're talking about the idea, you're not explaining the idea. So you're talking about children needing attention, you're not talking about why parents are not able to give enough attention to their children. So no, that's the wrong focus there. Okay, so we've moved past that. Thank you. Okay, now I don't know what you're saying anymore. All right, you've lost me. Okay. One of the major disadvantages of working longer hours is that parents are not able to give enough attention to their children as they are always thinking of doing more than one job because they will have constant shifts, so their mind is always taken away from their offspring. Good. They're always thinking about work. Good. And it's not just that so we're not just talking about the time that they're at work. We're talking about even when they get home from work, they're so stressed and they're so busy. They're even when they're at home, they're still thinking about work. So they're sitting down, instead of playing with their kids, they're sitting there stressing about work or thinking about work. So that's an explanation of why they're not able to give enough attention to their children. So it's not just or it could just be the fact that they don't have enough time. Maybe, by the time they drive home, it's time to have dinner and it's time to go straight to bed. So they didn't have enough time to play with their kids. But you have to explain why they don't have enough time. So not just why time is necessary, but why they're not able to give enough attention. Okay. Rupinder. Parents who are working in a stressful environment for long hours fail to give the required concentration to their children. Concentration isn't the right word there. And that would just be our topic sentence of the paragraph. That's not an explanation. At workstation, they are bound to meet deadline, which has given by the employer, and that is time demanding. So that's an explanation of why they are working long hours. That's not an explanation of why they are not able to give enough attention to their children. So no, you're not responding to that in the way you need to. It's not a direct enough response. Truly, it improves economic problems. However, it has many disadvantages as it is dangerous for the health of parents and reduces the connection among parents and their children. Okay, but remember, you need 2 disadvantages and 1 advantage in your outline statement. Manpreet. Because of their work commitments, they spend more hours at their offices. Consequently, children are not getting the attention they needed the most. You'll need to go a step further than that, Manpreet. So like even just describe, say, when they get home from work, they've spent so much time at work that they only have 1 hour with their child each day, but really the child needs more time than just 1 hour, something like that. So you need to respond more directly to it than you have there. Okay, Rupinder. Since they spend many hours of their work in highly stressful, many hours of their day in highly doing. Okay, since they spend many hours of their day in a highly stressful job, this makes them physically and mentally exhausted, so they do not have appropriate so they do not have enough energy to spend quality time with their children. So your development is fine, just some language mistakes there that make it a little bit unclear. Delight, you're very welcome. Yeah, okay, I'm going to start getting through these a little bit faster because I want to give everyone feedback, and there are quite a few comments left. So I'm just going to speed up a little bit here. Okay, parents who are working long hours in stressful jobs have to give priorities to their duties. As a result of that, parents are unable to pay much attention to their children. Good. So this is directly saying why they cannot give attention to their children. Good. So only providing the things that children need is not ample for a good living standard for children. That last sentence isn't talking about the main topic. You've brought it onto another topic. So sentence 1 and 2 are great. The last sentence doesn't respond to the main idea which we're supposed to be discussing, the one highlighted on the screen there. The main disadvantage of parents working stressful jobs for longer time is that such mothers and fathers, that it's a bit complicated, just say, is that these children would not receive much attention. It is because parents will be busy in their work, thus they will not have time to spend with their children, making them deprived of the love and attention of their parents. Such children at later life become irritable adults. One of my cousins, for instance, had absent parents, because of which he is now more frustrated. You've changed the topic. So such children at later life become irritable adults. From there forward, it's not relevant anymore because you're not talking about why parents are not able to give enough attention to their children. So you've explained why they're not able to give enough attention to their children, and then you start to discuss the outcome and the consequences of that. We don't want to shift to the consequences. We want to stay focused on explaining that or giving an example of that. Roshan, involved in unnecessary activities like drug addiction because they do not have parents around them to suggest what is right and wrong. Okay, so yeah, that as a main idea, that's fine, but it doesn't develop the idea on our screen, so it's not appropriate for the task. Parents unable to give children lots of attention, leave for work early and return late. Good. Now, it genuinely, it can be just as simple as that. You need to explain why. And of course, everybody knows why. You work longer hours, you have less time, of course. But in the IELTS test, you need to be able to develop that idea and you need to be able to stay focused on that. So it doesn't need to be complicated. What Kwesi has done here is absolutely fine. They need to leave for work early and they return late. Therefore, the amount of hours that they have is not as much as a parent who works less, and that's not enough time for these children. They come back exhausted. Excellent. That's another perfect reason why they're not able to give enough attention. Example, people who work in hospital because of normal work schedule. So Kwesi, you would have to talk about those people who work in the hospital not giving enough attention to their children. So not just that they don't have enough time, but that they're not giving enough attention to their children. So make sure the example is directly related to the to the main idea. Hey, Graham. Doing good, thank you. Hello, Mohammed from Somaliland. Good to see you here. Hello to you. Welcome to the lesson. Although we're nearly finished. Okay. The main disadvantage associated with this development is children are given less attention. This is because when parents engage in work for long hours, the amount of time they have, as a result, both of their children have to do their school homework on their own. Okay, so I think we're missing the middle of that, but everything you've said makes sense. I just feel like we're missing the middle. Amro, good. Affects the children psychologically, good. That's appropriate. Because they are working to cover family demands, no. So we don't want a reason why they're working long hours. We want an advantage and a disadvantage of the situation, not an explanation of why they're working long hours. So that's not appropriate. Neil, one of the significant disadvantages of doing more than standard working hours in a stressful environment is that these parents may fail to give enough attention to their children. Very well written. When they go back home from work, they are exhausted, and instead of having time with their children, these parents may, syntax here, they may go straight to the bedroom to get some sleep. As they have this poor work-life balance, parents are unable to pay attention to their children's activities, including homework. I wouldn't have included the bit about homework at the end. That wasn't necessary, but very, very well written. And remember yesterday I was talking about how you were taking too many risks with vocab, but I felt that your language was at the level that you would be able to get a band 7 if you weren't taking risks. And I think looking at what you've written here, that confirms that. So I think you've really taken that lesson on board. So Neil, it seems like for you, task achievement is going to be the big one for you to get your head around. Teacher, can you please go a bit slowly teaching because I know a bit of English. So we'll have the recording up very soon, and especially I don't know if Facebook has the same facility, but on YouTube you can slow down the playback speed. I am going a little bit faster than normal right now because I want to give feedback to everybody before the end of the lesson. So you're right, I am going a bit fast, but just because I want everyone to get feedback. Okay, parents do not give enough attention to their children. So you would have to say these parents, just to make sure we're not talking about all parents, but the parents in the scenario. This is because the more work they do, the more relaxation they have to do, the more they need to recover. For example, my cousin who spends about 20 hours and 2 hours per day working and unwinding in turn, so the rest of his time is too little for his son. Okay, that's fine. In general, I would go for a group of people rather than an individual in my example, but it's not wrong, just I prefer to have a group of people. Amro, parents are not able to give enough attention to their children. So again, these parents. The reason is because they are working long hours, and when they come home from the reason is because they are working long hours and they come home from their work exhausted and only want to take a rest or eat rather than give their kids attention. Yep, that's good. Parents are unable to give attention to their children because due to the work stress, they often get home tired and lack of strength to look after the child. Good. To start with, the deprivations of parents' attention to children leads bad impacts on their children. They get focused to their jobs and hold importance work and give attention to working hours from where time flies without detection. No. So if you look at the other responses where they're explaining why the parents don't have time, not the impact that it has on the children. So I think Cressy's response was probably the easiest one. They leave early, they return late, they're exhausted. I think that the simplification in that response, the simplicity of that response is really good. Due to the constant thinking which their working environment demands, parents will have less communication and focus on their children, and then you need to explain why. Is that a vomit? I can't think of any examples. Vomit, 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 vomit. I don't know what that emoji means. It looks like vomit. That's a strange response. So Vicious, the thing is, you could probably get a band 7 if you're developing all your ideas as much as you did. But what you have to notice is that when you write your examples, you need to reflect on what the main topic was. So like, you look at your example, say, is this about parents not being able to give enough attention to their children? I mean, did you ask yourself that question before you wrote the example? Or did you just write the example? You have to analyze all your ideas. If you're not saying to yourself, is this example about the main idea? If you're not asking yourself that question, you're going to make this mistake. You have to analyze. And this is why it's so important to plan your ideas before you write them. It's absolutely essential. You have to, because it's too difficult to analyze them otherwise. Another disadvantage, it leads children to bad company. Yeah, so to spend time with bad company, that would be too informal. So it leads children to behave inappropriately, I think would be an easier way to say that. Can we say deteriorates health of the parents as one of the disadvantages? Absolutely. Yes, definitely. Parents devote more time to their work, which makes them unable to spend quality time with their children. You'll need to go a bit deeper than that. It affects them in the aspect, yes, so it affects children's ability to socialize. Good. May lead to juvenile delinquency. Yep, that makes sense too. Oh, made it to the end. I didn't think I'd get through all of them, but no, that's good. Okay. So before we finish up, let me just remind you all of my live feedback lessons. If you've not already signed up for those live feedback lessons, sign up with that link. You'll find it in the comments. I just shared it with you in the comments. Sign up with that link, and I have a task 2 lesson tomorrow. My free live feedback lessons on Zoom. I have a task 2 lesson on Zoom tomorrow. I also have essay corrections, practice IELTS speaking tests, writing course, and speaking course, which you can sign up for, all with that same link. Also, I'm going to have to change the times of these live streams next week. So tomorrow I will post the schedule for the live streams next week, but I will have to change the times. I might potentially have to change the days because I have a new schedule with other work I need to do as well. So there will be a change to the schedule next week. I haven't decided on the exact times yet, but I will have it sorted out by tomorrow, and I'll post that. So normally it's earlier than this time tomorrow. So by this time tomorrow, for sure, the schedule for the live streams next week will be up. You'll see them there. And I'm going to continue doing the same number of live streams, just changing the schedule around a little bit. Any reading class? I have a lesson I can share with you. But for reading, it's really about you doing a practice reading test and then analyzing your mistakes. So, for me to teach reading would be sit down, watch you spend an hour and a half doing a reading test. You need to do that by yourself. And then analyze your mistakes. You also need to do that by yourself. So it doesn't make sense for me to do live stream reading classes. And the thing is let me share this with you first. Thing to keep in mind about reading, where students will always go wrong or often go wrong, is when they're going through a test. So they do a practice reading test, and then when they're going through the test, their focus is, what was the correct answer? So I got question number 10 wrong. Okay, what was the correct answer? Okay, that was the correct answer. And that's the analysis they do, is finding out what the correct answer was. That's not going to help. Finding out the correct answer is not going to help you perform better in the next test. So the information you want is not the correct answer. It's the reason behind why you chose the incorrect answer. So why did you make the mistake you made? What was the source of the problem that resulted in you choosing the wrong answer? And that's generally where students will go wrong. All they want to find out is the correct answer. They don't care about why they got the wrong answer, but why you got the wrong answer. That's the information that will help you improve in your next practice reading test. So just make sure that you're approaching it that way. What time is the lesson tomorrow? The lesson tomorrow is 5 hours earlier than it is now. It's 4 p.m. for me. That doesn't really help you. So whatever time it is for you now, 5 hours earlier tomorrow. Stella, that's the link you need. Free live feedback lessons on Zoom. So click on that link there. Sign up, and then you'll see the schedule when you sign up as well. I have all the schedule for February and March already lined up for the live feedback lessons. Quizzy, very welcome. Stella, do you teach OET? I do not. I know nothing about OET. I know it's an English test that nurses take, but I don't know the format. No, I'm afraid IELTS is my expertise. I won't be able to help you with that. Very welcome, Neil. Good to see you here as well. Kring, you're very welcome. Or Jose, great. Glad to hear it. Hello to you, sir. We're literally just finishing up here now. Baha, welcome to the lesson. Welcome, welcome, and we're going. I say welcome and goodbye at the same time, but we're finished. Ranjana, very welcome. 5 hours earlier, too soon. You're going to be at work. Shame. Facebook user, very welcome. Hi, Sepiso. Just coming as we're leaving. Genia, welcome. General training, task 1. The first Monday of every week, I have a live stream on it. And the first Wednesday of every week, I have a live feedback lesson on it. So, yep, I do cover that as well. The link is, you'll need to just scroll back a little bit in the comments. So where you're writing your comments now, you need to scroll up a bit. You'll find it here. So it's labeled free live feedback lessons on Zoom and one-on-one IELTS support. Stella, very welcome. Okay, let's leave it at that for today. Great to see you all here again. As well, like I always say, make sure if you have friends, family members, colleagues, any IELTS groups that you're in, let them know about Complete Test Success. Send them my way and I'll be able to help them too. Very welcome, Amro. Thanks for saying so. And right, talk to you tomorrow in the live feedback lesson or next week in the live streams. Okay, take care of yourself.